my understanding is that you were involved with some substances when you were younger that were causing difficulties in your life. Can you tell me what was it about your early life that brought you into that realm?
Interesting question, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible. As a young kid, I had a dad who was a Marine, Vietnam veteran, who was active combat with 3 Purple Hearts. He came home at around 7 years old. I had a working class mom who went to school, had 2 jobs. I was alone a lot with my sister, and we had various other relatives who would watch us. So I had a lot of freedom, and a lot of freedom of expression, a lot of answers in life I didn't have at a young age, and then experienced some trauma things, that I went through as a young boy, and didn't really know how to approach my dad for direction. He worked 6 days a week, and hasn't changed in 55 years, right? So there were a lot of things I didn't have answers to, and I think the beginning of the journey was taking life hits head on and not knowing how to process them, which probably later on led me to ease myself with a numbers of substances that was seen often in the home. My father's brothers, and they were involved in alcohol. It was in our family. And as a young boy, I would see substances on the table, cocaine. I didn't know it was cocaine at the time. Cocaine and just the lifestyle, the smell of marijuana, the constant party scenes on Fridays and weekends. So seeing that and seeing the older uncles was like, to me, that was the inspiration. Like, I want to be like them. So it was very quickly that it went forward. My dad had a bar room, a local bar room. And so I grew up there cleaning bottles and just being part of the barroom scene. And obviously that evolves. And you want to become what you're seeing, right? And so, they had the flashy cars, the Lincoln Continentals and the Camaros and the Cadillacs. And so that leather coats and, lots of women were always around. So I'm seeing this as a young boy, being inspired at a young age of around 13. But around 16, it started to get more critical. I started to learn the patterns of what they did, and now I was doing that. And so I was just kind of walked right into that whole lifestyle. Oxycontin scene had been around then. The Oxycontin 80 milligrams was big. And when that dried out, the heroin just came rolling right in there because the Percocets couldn't do what heroin can do, obviously. And the heroin was a 70s drug, so, my father's family and that community, that was readily available from New Bedford. I mean, I was everywhere from New York all the way back to Massachusetts here in the Cape to pick it up and to bring it back.
And if I may, were you injecting these drugs?
In the end of the road, absolutely. I spent about 15 years on and off as an IV user. The last 5 years of that run, that was daily, multiple times a day, a wake up. Like you'd have a wake up coffee, an afternoon, and a night cap. I had 3 of those a day, mixed with other substances, strip clubs, just the whole mess, Paul.
And so you mentioned you were doing it as a business also, meaning you were transporting it. And what was the basic transport route from Florida up here? Or
it varied. Different cities.
Or were you also going overseas? Or
no overseas.
All in the country.
All in the States.
Uh-huh.
And it just led to people on the other side of the fence that were heavily involved and financially could be more involved than kind of guys like me could be. But it opened up opportunities for different types of jobs, different resources, a different bracket of people that let's say white collar individuals with a brown collar underneath, right? The outside of the cup is clean, but the inside is a mess. So I saw these opportunities that could provide, let's say, a better realm of protection because they were legal people. And so those opportunities opened up, and you think you're going higher, but you're actually going deeper, right? And I didn't see what was coming from that.
So a 2-part question is, one is, were you ever arrested during these things? And the other is, how did you get out?
Okay, in the beginning, I was arrested, and the lifestyle, constant bar rooms, parties, social events, being invited to different things. Violence comes hand in hand with that. Aggression comes hand in hand with that. Betrayal is hand in hand. And so somebody owes you money and they're avoiding the payments. I'm responsible for a larger payment amount, which those patterns can't be missed. So there's tactics and techniques. So I was absolutely arrested multiple times. That led to a probably 25-year arrest record from juvenile, and it was a long time in and out of courts, multiple attorneys, cases. I went to state prison. I went to county prison. And that was a long journey, Paul, a long journey.
Approximately how much time altogether did you spend in jail?
In and out, I'd probably say about 10 years of my life was in and out of prison.
And how old are you?
I'm 55 now.
And God bless. So God bless to be sitting here with you now, and free spirits now, and God bless. That's what I have to say. And how did you escape from that world?
I would say the escape wasn't to my own doing. My life eventually led me to a high-speed chase with the police that ended because of my own actions. I hold nobody else accountable but myself, and they were doing their job. But it led me to Leahy Clinic and a Metaflight helicopter ride from Hyannis Hospital, where I ended up in a coma, dialysis, and that hospital stint was a long 9-month haul of different hospitals, different testings. Somewhere along the lines, a friend of mine who lived just like I did, but somehow for a 6-year stint, he had escaped that life. His life became a reference point. He came to see me 3 days a week from a hospital that I was 3 hours away from, right? And he would just repetitively come and visit me, pour into me, and I saw a glimmer of hope, because if he could, how can I, right? Because I was way worse than him, and so he inspired me, and that constant love and community, and he would bring people to visit me. I would just have to say, I'm going to put it on the God factor, because I had no plan. If it was my own, left to my own devices, I would have went right back to the same thing. And I did. When I got out of that hospital, that year of hospital, I was obviously left the hospital hooked on prescription medications. So the drug use got even worse than ever before. And I went through 7 years of fire, and here I sit today, redeemed through community, and realizing that if you have 7 glasses and different substances in every one, are the 7 glasses dangerous? Is it the loaded handgun dangerous on the shelf, or is it the individual who doesn't process the heart offenses and then reaches out and picks up the substance? So I think what rescued me, so to speak, or how I escaped, was allowing the power of community to purge my heart and boil up the things, the impurities, and then start to recognize self-accountability. And asking for help. In my world, you don't ask anyone for help, you figure it all out. Humility, you need, every trunk has roots, every tree has branches, and I had to branch my heart into the hands and trust slowly people, because in the world I lived in, there was no such thing as trust. You trust no one.
That's really beautiful. If you're trying to make me cry, you're going in the right direction here. So, if I may, where are you now in terms of maybe trying to make amends, or maybe trying to teach others what you've learned, and maybe help them to lead a stronger life than what they might be going toward otherwise?
Today, I stand on a solid foundation. I try to the best ability, view people as an opportunity. So oftentimes people want to look at people and judge them. Yeah. And so I know I was under the judge spectrum. I've been in front of hundreds of judges, right? And not in a court perspective, but more like if someone is a stumbling block or a struggle reference point to me, I got to try to draw out of them what it is that's frustrating me with them. And I utilize it as a tool to help change me. So in other words, they can pour into me. And so if my natural reaction was like, hey, I want to knock this guy's chin off, because he's doing this. Well, maybe he's doing that because he's actually a gift for my life to teach me how to get rid of that nature. And then can I love that individual out of his preference as I can pour into him and he can pour into me. I guess what I'm saying, Paul, is like how I give back today or make amends is I believe that I don't want to see any 9-year-old, 13-year-old boy, young boy or female. You have females today that just doing things that women of the 50s just wouldn't do, right? We're in a different society, different generation, temperatures, the society's heating up, it's getting wild. So what I try to do now is make amends. I want to bridge the gap. I want to stop that 13-year-old kid from picking up a handgun, and because he doesn't have a father or a reference point, he ends up in a car with a bunch of people and they do something that costs him the next 30 years of their life. I've been through so many things. I've got a criminal record with over 100 arraignments. I've got a hospital record with probably 50 overdoses and ambulance rides. I've got a driving record that's atrocious. And so if I can combine those three things, pull out of them the things that I would have done to prevent, if I can pour that heart, that love, that compassion, that empathy into people, then maybe if 1 out of 100 makes a difference, then it makes a big difference. That's why I believe in education. I am a strong man about community. Communication is the power of just about everything. Without communication, I mean, no one wants to be isolated. You can play tough guy all you want, but you need a baby needs to be held. A mother needs to nurture, a father needs to lead and be led. So I am trying to further educate myself in community, and that's the beginning of that journey. Rock mountains, the things that look like you could never climb them, you could never summit them. I believe in the power of faith. I believe in the power of God. I believe in the power of humanity, and that there is a resolution, working with people to get deeper, to pull the things out that would make you run to a substance or a relationship. Those wells run dry, but there is a fountain that never runs dry, and I leave that with God and the understanding that love and forgiveness is a power that just can be harnessed.
That's beautiful. I'm going to cry.
Everyone's going to be crying in a minute.